Are facials actually worth it? We hear about people getting facials all the time, specifically celebrities. So many of them say, oh, I get regular facials to maintain good skin. But for anyone who's had a facial, maybe yours wasn't that great, or maybe yours was phenomenal and it changed your skin, but maybe it was really expensive. Or maybe it was an advanced facial, like something with LED or a chemical treatment. Well, are facials worth it? And what should you expect when going into one? A little bit of background. Not only am I your acne big sister who's currently breaking out, but I am a medical esthetician who provides treatments on others. I have been rubbing faces since, oh my gosh, when did I start practicing? Like, I started training in like 2008, 2009. Crazy. But I've also received some facials as well, and not every facial is a great one. So what do you need to know? What do you need to look for? And at the end of the day, is it something that makes sense for your budget and your skin's needs? When it comes to a facial, most facials have the same basic steps. Usually there's a cleanse to remove any dirt or debris. Often there's also a steam, which usually happens more for oily skin people and less for dry skin people. There's usually a mini treatment, something like a face mask or an extraction or even an exfoliator, along with the longest part of the facial, which is usually the facial massage. Either a massage cream, a serum, or a lotion is applied to the skin that actually gets worked through by massage that helps to promote circulation to the face. Then there's usually moisturizer, and if your treatment is good, and during the day there's definitely a sunscreen. But of course you can add on extras. You can add things like LED treatments, microdermabrasion, depending on the expertise level of your esthetician and their credentials. You could add things like a chemical peel. And if you're doing this in a clinical setting, you might even be able to add things like laser from a dermatologist or medical microneedling. But while all facials have some of those same basic steps, what's the difference between doing these in a clinic or spa versus at home? And that is another one of the main differences. If you're doing your skincare at home, it's at home. You're responsible for getting your own products, for choosing the ones that are right for you. If you get things done in a spa or in a clinic, they're usually limited to the products that they have on hand. Although good places will have a variety of brands and some really good brands, both fragrance-free and non-fragrance-free options, to customize those to your skin. Now, professionally, there are two main types of places that you can get treatment. One is a very spa-like clinic that is geared towards relaxation. You have that meditation music, little waterfalls, maybe even the lavender scented hand towel. Whereas on the clinical side, this is usually done in a dermatology or plastic surgeon's office or in a more sterile clinical setting. There are going to be less of the froofy, frilly things, but you might have access to more advanced treatments such as chemical peels, lasers, or more, as well as access to more information. For instance, asking the person who's doing the treatment or the doctor who's on staff. Whereas in a spa, you can still have some very, very trained estheticians, but you don't really know if they've been working for 15 weeks or 15 years, and if they've done so with any chemistry training, any anatomy training, or just the basics. Whereas people in medical aesthetics, you still don't know how long they've been working there unless you ask. But most people who work in medical clinics or peri-medical clinics, basically around doctors and dermatologists, need to pass bloodborne pathogen management, need to pass anatomy, need to make sure that they have advanced licensing credentials, and also are usually learning underneath a doctor or dermatologist, or even shadowing as a precursor for something like med school or PA school. So in these professional settings versus at home, I would say the main difference is the access to additional information. For instance, if you know products very well, you're probably going to be able to create a great routine for yourself at home. But if you have no idea where to start, it might be better to go to a professional, have them make some guidelines and recommendations for your skin type specifically, and then you could take those home and continue. Additionally, if you're looking to do an advanced treatment, for example, if you're saying, I'm gonna go home and do microneedling, and I know it's terrible for me, but I wanna do it in the safest way possible, don't just destroy your skin at home. Go to a professional, tell them what your plans are, say, I'm gonna do this whether you like it or not. What should I keep in mind? And at least they can guide you through that process. This is where I always recommend medical microneedling, chemical peels, any advanced treatments be done in a professional setting, because you have an expert who knows what to do when things go wrong. And at home, that's not always the case. And the main thing becomes that guidance. If you need the support, if you need the insight, if you need the help, then go for it. Another analogy is eating out at a restaurant versus cooking food at home. You could be an amazing chef, or you could be a terrible chef, or you could love the idea of someone else preparing food for you and cleaning it up, whereas you don't like to do that at home. That's another reason that you might want to choose to go in for a treatment versus stay at home for one. The time, the effort, and the cleanup it takes. Now that being said, getting a treatment done professionally is much more of an experience. It's not something you could do every day, whereas we do need to stay hygienic every day, reapply our sunscreen, wash it off at night, etc. But for those who really value those acts of service, this could be an amazing, luxurious, or wonderful maintenance thing. And for some people, such as myself, one of the most important important components would be massage. I really love giving facials to other people because I can help them with their skin and I get to touch their faces, but I also love getting facials, and my favorite part is absolutely the massage. I am a very touch-oriented person. I think it is so healing, it is so consoling, and I love it when someone really good touches my face. Now, not all facials are the same. There are some people who just like go like this and you're like, oh my god, what's happening? But people who actually know facial anatomy, know structure, can really relax your facial muscles that are crunched and tense all day. It is the best feeling ever. Now, unfortunately, it can be a very expensive feeling as well. If you're getting facials every day, that's going to add up. Facials depend on where you're getting them, what sort of additional treatments you're adding on, and really just the geography you live in. Usually the lowest you can get them for is like $25 to $30 if you're lucky, and that's usually like a very short massage, like 10 minutes, like a non-extended facial. Whereas a regular facial is usually somewhere between 80 and 120 bucks. But if you are going to a specialty spa, a specialty clinic, even if you're getting a facial on a cruise ship, which yes, there are estheticians who do treatments on cruise ships or for travel experiences, and especially if you're getting advanced treatments like chemical peels, LED, or microneedling, or PRP, heck, you could be looking at 250 bucks all the way up to a couple thousand if you're getting those super advanced treatments put on with the help of a doctor or dermatologist. And the whole thing is, does this make sense for you to do regularly? I like to explain skincare, facial treatments, dermatology visits, and basic day-to-day stuff like a car. Think about your car. When you get in every day, you put on your seatbelt, you clean up some trash, you wipe the windshield, right? That is your everyday skincare. The windshield is your cleanser. The seatbelt is your sunscreen. You're taking care of it every day. But what happens if your tires are popped and your engine is falling out? Well, that's when you need to see a dermatologist. A dermatologist looks analytically. They can diagnose and treat what's going on inside the engine and make sure that the car, your skin and body, is functioning well. If you have a spreading staph infection or melanoma, a type of skin cancer, it doesn't matter if your back seat is clean, if your car can't go anywhere, and if you're going to get into it and crash, right? A dermatologist is like a highly specialized mechanic that makes sure it all goes well. Now, what happens if you want a waxing, a detailing to go through the car wash? That is analogous to your aesthetic treatment. That is maybe once a month or maybe a couple times a year. You go in for something a little special. You get a little something special done. It makes you look good, it makes you feel good, and if you get your tires rotated, it even helps your car perform better or your skin perform better overall, especially if you're doing something like an advanced treatment, like a little bit of exfoliation or a chemical peel or LED treatment. But as I'm sure you know, not everybody gets their wheels rotated or their car waxed or takes their car through the car wash. And for some people, they don't get aesthetic treatments at all. For some people, they don't get dermatologist treatments at all. And for some people, that's not the right fit, either for their budget or for their lifestyle. And that's why it really depends on you, your skin, and your case. I do think that facial treatments are amazing. Maybe I'm slightly biased because I do provide them, but I don't accept everyone, and there are people that I've turned down and I've said, hey, like, you're coming in all the time, like once a week. You don't actually have as many concerns as you started with. We can start spreading these appointments out a little bit. I love seeing you and I want you here, trust me, but I want you to be spending your money wisely. And now that I see this improvement, you don't need to be coming in every week the way that somebody who has a scar or a wound that's in remission and healing and they're trying to prevent that scar from deepening, or someone who has major acne that they're trying to get under control. Once that starts to get treated, either with a doctor in derm or in combination with an esthetician, you don't need to come in as frequently. As well as people who have a really great skincare routine, but they are strapped financially, I would rather you spend money on a good sunscreen, a good retinoid, and a good cleanser, and do that at home, rather than spend all of that money on a 1 or 2 time facial experience. You're going to get more for your money. Now, if you have the basics down and you want the extras, or if you love the feeling of massage, it's a luxury, or you're doing it for that information, then it makes total sense. But for some people, it might not be. But this is why it's so important for you and your specific situation. And here's a little checklist that I would use to ask yourself whether or not it's worth it for you. First and foremost, is the person that you're going to good? Is this someone who gives you good information or who does a really great job and has great reviews online? Are they really good at massage if that's something that you care about? Usually you should be able to go into a spa or a clinic and at least speak to someone, kind of get a little consult or do a patch test in preparation for a chemical peel, and you can kind of use that as a way to suss things out as well. By the way, if you have actual questions about specific treatments or even specific ingredients in skincare products, if you search on YouTube, Cassandra Bankson, chemical peel, Cassandra Bankson, Centella, Cassandra Bankson, salicylic acid. We've probably done a video on it before because I've been doing this for 12 years. Have I been doing that? Oh my God. Actually 13 on YouTube. Wow.
Daddy, you better get
Anyways, if you search any of those queries, you might be able to find some stuff and be on your way to building some knowledge to make you a skintellectual if you aren't one already. So use that little tool in your back pocket whenever you have a question. But as I was saying, number 2, do you already have a good skincare routine or not? If you have a great skincare routine and you know what you like, do they have similar or comparable products at the store, the clinic, or the spa that you're preparing to go to? If you have a great routine at home and you don't need help curating it, you're not going to get as much benefit from asking an esthetician or a professional about what products you should use. Whereas if you're really struggling with your skin, you don't know what your skin type is, something weird is going on, it's not something that needs a medical diagnosis, and you just want support in a skincare routine, yes, an esthetician might be perfect. Now, be careful because some estheticians only work with certain brands and sometimes they try to push those brands for sales, so just be aware of that. And my favorite people to actually go to as a client are people who know multiple brands across a spectrum. And if I say I'm not going to buy from you or I don't want to buy any of the brands that you have, they need to respect that. But sometimes in the past, especially when I've really liked people, I've actually told them I want to purchase from you, I want to support you and this business. Please tell me what you would recommend for my skin. Specifically Face Reality here in the Bay Area, they have amazing products, amazing estheticians, they're acne experts, and they are someone that I specifically go to and say, give me the products, I want to purchase these from you instead of from another retailer. Same with Dermalogica as well. There is one place I love that sells so much Dermalogica and their prices are always great, very comparable, and sometimes I get it from them to support a small business instead of from a place like Ulta. Although I do shop a lot of Dermalogica at Ulta too, like let's be honest, Cassandra. And lastly, does this fit within your budget? Can you afford it and does it make you feel better when you're done? Or do you feel like you kind of wasted your money and you spent a lot of time laying there getting your face rubbed for an hour? That is subjective and that is up to you. Obviously, celebrities tout aesthetic treatments and talk about how much they love them, and it's because they can afford them. It's probably not difficult for them to book either. But for everyday people like you and me, if we're working, especially a 9 to 5, if we don't have a lot of time, or if we're financially strapped, or we're just looking for some relaxation, that might sway our opinion into a yes or a no. And that is completely subjective and up to you. I would say the most important thing is finding someone that you trust and someone that you like. That can really make all the difference. If you had a bad experience, don't let that taint you from the entire industry. But for some people, just the way they don't take a car through the car wash, or they don't get that waxing, or they don't get their wheels rotated, they don't necessarily need it. As long as you're doing the basics of wearing your seatbelt and cleaning out the car every day and seeing a doctor or dermatologist, aka a mechanic, when the engine is falling out or when you have a weird rash on your skin, aesthetics are not 100% necessary. And a lot of people don't like it when I say that because obviously it takes money away from an industry if people aren't going. But I think it's more important that people get matched with the services and the treatments that they need that are actually going to help them, rather than saying you absolutely need this $250 hotel facial when it might not be right for everyone, especially not every month or every week. Let me know what you think. This is always an unpopular opinion whenever I'm discussing with other people in the industry, but it's how I operate as a consumer and how I felt when I had acne. And again, I do love facials. I haven't actually gotten a lot since the pandemic, but I'm looking to do more. I have gotten a few, but not a ton. And you know, they can really be a special thing when you get the right fit. Let me know your thoughts. Is it worth it? Is it not? And leave any comments below. I'll also leave some of my favorite products right here. These are brands you can look for in aesthetic clinics or spas. Usually if they have one of these brands, you know that they at least have one good line and they probably know or have some options for you. Whereas again, if they only sell one brand, unless it's like Face Reality, they're like the one exception. Again, their expertise is acne, so it makes sense. But for most other places, I'm like, if you're just giving me one option and you're not a specialized like clinic or a specialized treatment facility, I just want options. I want to make sure there's something right for every person's face. Overall, do remember to stay hydrated both orally and topically. Always reapply your SPF. It's that seatbelt you put on every day. And always remember to be beautiful both inside and out. I love you and I cannot wait to see you in this next video. Love you guys. Bye.